Welcome to the Diary of a Discarded Daughter. I am your host and the founder of Christian Drama Queen Solutions, Lisa Schaefer, and I'm glad that you're here today. Do you have that person in your life that has made a huge impact, and maybe you haven't shared that story? Well, today I'm going to share the story of how God used someone incredible in my life, and really it was the beginning of the healing that basically happened for me over the course of about 40 years, and she was a huge part of that. I'm going to talk about her today. So here we go. I'm just going to tell you right now, today's episode of the podcast is going to be a little bit, it's going to be a little bit emotional for me. October marks the month that two very sad events happened for me and for many of my friends. So in this was a long time ago. Anything that starts with 1900 and something, it was a long time ago. So this story starts in 1979. My mother was a single mom. She took care of my brother and myself. And anytime she had to, a new job, a new promotion became available for her, she had to take it. She was trying to make the most amount of money. She was very good at what she did. She was a collector for major financial corporation. So we moved a lot because she had to take whatever she could. There was absolutely no support, child support. In 1979, you could not force a deadbeat dad to pay child support. It just didn't happen. And so she had to take whatever job she could get. And this particular job, she committed and told the company, I'm not moving again. If you send me here, we're going to stay there. And of course, we went, it was a very small town I say very small town. It's not near as small as where I'm at right now. But she moved us to a small town in southeast Kansas. And that's where we stayed until I got married. So she kept her word. We didn't move again from that place. She did. I didn't. Years down the road. But when we moved there, I was really struggling. I had become a Christian, walked forward in church at the age of 14, just a few months before this, and had made some godly Christian teenage friends at the time. Went to youth camp, made some decisions for purity in my life, for modesty in my life, to make sure I took all of anything that came into my heart was something that I could say before Jesus, I know you condone this and you support this. So I had made a lot of decisions in order to be a Christian person, a Christian girl at the age of 14. And so in 1979, when we moved from my support system in church, and my mother will agree with this, she's talked about this. When we actually moved away from the town where I was baptized, the place where I was baptized and had all these connections, we moved into this town where we had absolutely no connections. We didn't know anybody. We had no friends. We had no connections. And we looked for a church, but the one church that was there that was supposed to be affiliated with the church we came from was not a good fit for us. And so we didn't go. We stopped going. We stopped having that godly Christian support that you can find in a church home. And so here was my problem. I was at a very impressionable age. I was fatherless and had always struggled with the idea of not being wanted. And we moved into this small town, and I needed purpose. I needed something. And so we moved into our home the day before the first day of school started at this tiny little junior high. And back then, your freshman year was still incorporated with middle school or junior high. We called it junior high. And so the classes that were available to me were, pretty much assigned. They just basically said, okay, you're a freshman, you got to take these courses. And one of the classes that I took was choir. Now, I had been in choir before in 8th grade. I had been in band. I had done some instruments, but I really hadn't found a passion for music. Nobody had ever come to me and said, wow, you've got a voice and you should really be using it. You should love music. We're going to give you this desire of your heart and tell you about it. Nobody had really done that yet until the choir director in our little middle school, Jodi Lamb. Now, Jodi was one of those larger than life personalities. She had played Dolly in the stage version of Hello, Dolly for local community theater. I developed a love for performing. And she's the one who gave that to me. She's the one who said, listen, you need to be singing. You need to be doing contests. You need to be performing on stage. You need to try out for these dinner theater things. And she's the one who introduced all of that to me. And all of a sudden, this little discarded, brokenhearted, abandoned girl who was always trying to please and find purpose, I had it. And Jodi Lamb showed that to me. And it was obvious that she loved me and she believed in me, and she trained me to sing in Latin or Italian, of all things, which was really new to me at the age of 14. And then halfway through the school year, this teacher that I adored and found so much of my self-worth in because of her belief in me died. She had a heart attack while she was driving home and passed away in her car by herself. And I was devastated. It was like losing my best friend. But after losing Jodi, I kind of had my heart broken, and I became very, very distant. I didn't want to sing anymore. I was angry at God for taking away this woman who had such belief and faith in me. And I was angry, and I didn't want to sing anymore. And God bless those substitutes that filled in for the rest of the year, because I was a terrible student at that, by the time, and I'm sure they did their best, but I was vile. I just was horrible. And if Miss Lang ever hears this story, please tell her I'm sorry. Same with Miss Pishney. If they ever hear this story, I apologize for being so hard on you, because I know you were trying to reach out to me and understood my grief and my struggle. I decided not to take choir my sophomore year in school. I decided to become a weightlifter. And so, that's what allowed me to try out for cheerleader my junior year, was that I was a weightlifter all of my sophomore year. And I had a boyfriend by then, and he and I were, madly in love. We were going to get married. It was very intense. But I was really struggling. My relationship with the Lord was really struggling. That verse in scripture, it says something about God giving you the desires of your heart. Yeah, I think sometimes, and I've noticed this to be the case for me, that God does give me the desires of my heart, and sometimes I don't even know they're the desires of my heart. And music was one of those things. Oh, Psalm 37:4, I looked it up. Take delight in the Lord, and he'll give you the desires of your heart. I now take that to mean not that I have a desire, and if I follow God, he'll give it to me. I take that to mean I don't really know what the desires of my heart are sometimes. And when I follow him, he'll show me. And that's what he had done with me with music. So to lose a love for it, and to lose a desire for it, it was so much a part of my personality. I became very defiant and rebellious, and I began to soak. My entire life was bathed in whatever my boyfriend wanted. So the newspaper advertised that they had hired a new choir teacher for the high school. And my mother, of course, encouraged me to get back in choir, and I was still angry and bitter. And my friends came to me and said, you've got to meet this new teacher. Her name was Barbara Watson. And I didn't want to meet the new teacher, but She pulled me over in the hallway. So evidently somebody had pointed me out to her and said, hey, that you got to talk to her. She needs to come back in choir. And so Barbara pulled me aside one day, and she was really young. She had just come, I think she had just come out of college. So she might have been 25. I don't know. But she was very young. And she said to me, so I hear that you can sing. And I said, well, I'm not singing anymore. She said, why aren't you singing anymore? And I said, well, because I don't want to. She said, no, you need to join choir. You need to come back to choir. Let's get you in. Let's get you back in. Come on. And she was just almost relentless. She had a definite passion for music. And more than that, when she came in as the teacher for our choir, she also had a love for Jesus. And she made that very clear by teaching us some old Andre Crouch Christian music and some old gospel Christian music. She took us to sing in her church a couple of different times that I can remember. And there was such a passion in what she was doing with music and her love for God. And it revived me. It revived that desire in my heart that I had to use music, not just for myself, which had become kind of a passion when Jodi was my teacher. She's the one who told me I could tell a story with music. But it was Barbara who told me that you not only can tell a story with music and with singing specifically, but you can share Jesus with people with song. And a revival took place in my heart, and God showed me that music was supposed to be my purpose. And I sang and recorded and shared the gospel through music for the next 2.5 decades until I began to struggle with some things going on with my voice, which is another story. I'll do that one next time. So today, as we mark the month of Barbara's passing, and I think it's been 10 years this month, I just want to tell you that God is the giver of great gifts. And even as broken and needy and abandoned as this discarded daughter was, he found a way and used a person like Jodi and like Barbara, teachers who loved me and saw something in me that I didn't even see in myself. He used them to change my life. And I have to wonder sometimes if there's anybody out there who will one day say that I made a difference in theirs. And that's going to do it today for the Diary of a Discarded Daughter. Thanks for being here today, guys. Don't forget there are lots of ways to get a hold of me. You can certainly go to freedom.christiandramaqueen.com. You'll have access to some freebies from me. It's a great way to communicate things that are happening with the ministry. Also, don't forget that if you just want to book 30 minutes with me where we can talk and pray together, find out if you're ready to start walking down this path toward freedom, you just got to sign up. Calendar.christiandramaqueen.com. Pick a date and time. Calendar.christiandramaqueen.com. Of course, my Bible studies are available on Amazon, and if you email me that you'd like to have a copy of those, I can spiral bind them for you and send them right out of my office. Thanks again for sharing me with your friends and sending folks my way, and I love you.